Well, I think Fame and Muscle Shoals Music is here because we're fiercely independent. We've been doing business with Bank Independent since the 70s, and to know that they've got our back, it means a lot. We've always been there, and it's always just been a phone call away.
From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your weather, live at 5.
Clouds have been steadily increasing across the area on this Wednesday afternoon. Here's a live look at the Arctic Air Sky Cam network before we go into the evening, and starting to get pretty overcast out there, but despite the cloud cover, we've had enough sunshine and starting to get a southerly wind to get itself organized that we were warm today, especially by January standards, up into the mid to upper 60s, and many of us still holding into the low to mid 60s across the area. And we're not going to drop a terrible amount as we head into the overnight. That cloud cover going to act as an insulating blanket, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. We're going to have more clouds and sun here for the next several days. So an insulating blanket tonight, also starting to organize that southerly wind and moisture increasing in the atmosphere. We're not going to be able to drop the temperatures. We're talking about low to mid 50s for overnight lows tonight. As we get on into our Thursday, though, that south wind starts to get gusty. You see sustained 7 to 12 over there, but gusts to be as high as 20, 25, even 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, limited sunshine at most. I do think most of the rain is going to hold off through the daytime hours, though. Daytime highs tomorrow for almost all of us into the lower 70s. Only a few folks hanging out in the upper 60s. And then with moisture continuing to increase, the cloud cover thicker, we keep that wind up tomorrow night. We're talking about low to mid 60s for overnight lows, not daytime highs, overnight lows. And notice once we start getting into the later overnight, rain and a few rumbles of thunder start to become more likely even before sunrise on our Friday. Now, we've been talking about the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms Friday into especially Friday night. We are still watching that potential, but it's still not a guarantee. What this represents behind me is not necessarily the most likely outcome, but it's a very believable worst case scenario type situation where we see an organized severe weather risk across the area. There is a level 2 out of 5 for Friday and the Friday night for all of the viewing area here across southern Tennessee, North Alabama, and far northeast Mississippi. But because of all the heavy rain and thunderstorms we're going to have starting before sunrise Friday morning and then off and on through the day, that may act to stabilize the local atmosphere and shunt the unstable air south of us. We're still watching that to see how the smaller scale conditions are going to evolve, but that's looking like that may be the possibility, and that could limit or remove the severe weather risk from verifying across either parts of the area or all of the area. But because this is still a believable scenario, even though it's worst case, we still have to treat it carefully and pay attention and be prepared. So we're going to be watching it very carefully. Should we be able to pull off that severe storm risk, here's what we're talking about. Yes, we would be talking about the potential for a few tornadoes if we were able to pull off that severe storm risk. In addition to damaging wind gusts of 50, 60, 65 miles an hour, and maybe some isolated large hail up to quarter size, not as big of a threat of that. Whether we pull off the severe weather risk or not, I do think there's going to be a widespread 2 to 4 inch rain across the area with isolated heavier totals. And because we haven't had a whole lot of rain lately, we're in low end drought conditions. The ground's a little harder. And this is also going to be happening in such a short period of time. There's going to be more runoff with that. And that's going to introduce the potential for some flash flooding, not the wipe your house away type flash flooding, but especially the street flooding variety. And maybe because of some runoff, the creek start to get near the top of their beds, especially the more shallow creeks in the low-lying areas, things like that. Not a high-end type flooding threat, but there probably will be some flash flooding. But the tornado wind damage threat, that's very conditional, meaning certain things have to happen for it to verify. If those certain things don't happen, there's a very real chance we get away with that not happening. So we pay attention to it, but it's not a guarantee. The main threat time frame, I think, for that would be roughly mid to late evening, Friday evening through Friday overnight into pre-dawn Saturday morning. I don't think storms before then have too much of a severe potential. There may be something isolated in the late afternoon, but not a real likely chance. The main thing here is the heavy rain, and the National Weather Service forecast for almost all of the area is 2 or more inches of rain. But here in far southern Tennessee and across a large part of North Alabama, it is looking more likely into the 3 to 4 inch range. And there could certainly be some isolated heavier totals than that, which not good news for plans, not good news for the flash flooding threat, but long term in terms of water levels in the lakes and water tables underground, this would certainly be longer term good news to fight the drought. But notice here during the daytime, the widespread showers and thunderstorms, that may help to push the instability, the unstable air, the storm fuel farther to the south, so that Friday night, when a secondary surface low tracks near Memphis to Kentucky and the low-level winds intensify over us, we may not have that surface-based instability here to get the severe storm threat to materialize. It's still possible because sometimes those secondary surface lows, those strong low-level jet maxes, they can pull that unstable air northward even while it's still raining, and they can overcome that. That's why we're going to have to watch it as a just in case. But all that widespread rain and thunder during the day makes it harder for that to happen, and it also backs this away from trying to be a higher end type severe threat, which is certainly good news. Now, all of this messes out of here as we get into the afternoon hours of Saturday, lingering showers that morning, and then we're back to clearing and cooler conditions as we head into the first part of next week. Here's the temperature trend. We're upper 60s, lower 70s here through Friday, and even the first half of Saturday, we're still holding on to the 60s before dropping in the afternoon, but we're back to the 40s and 50s next week with overnight lows near and below freezing, so there will be a big temperature change on the other side of the system. Tonight, this is where the daytime highs should be for early January. We're only getting down to the low to mid 50s, increasing clouds across the area. And then we're mainly into the lower 70s, upper 60s tomorrow. There's going to be a little variance across the area, mostly cloudy to overcast, late night showers and thunderstorms moving in. And then Friday, off and on through the day, showers and thunderstorms likely. Flash flooding is possible. That caveat we talked about, it's street flooding type flash flooding. And then the mid to late evening and the overnight of Friday night into the pre-dawn of Saturday morning, we will watch for the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms, including a risk of rotating thunderstorms, but it's not a guarantee. And there are believable ways to where this happens and we don't see the severe storm threat materialize. So just keep that in mind. It does not mean you ignore that. Hear me now. It does not mean you ignore it, but you don't treat it as a foregone guarantee and get scared of it and things like that. You prepare, you be ready for it. We'll hope for the best. We'll prepare for the worst, and we'll get through it together here as the storms move in Friday. Showers ending the first half of Saturday, clearing and cooler as we go into a large part of next week before we get a few more showers back with another trough of low pressure coming across toward the middle of next week. That's a look at your latest 7-day forecast. I'll be back at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock with another check of your local weather.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.